Hello there. Welcome to the Britshaver shaving channel. My name's John Newton, and this is the couple of days before the vote for the EU referendum. So who knows, in a couple of days' time, by the end of the week, by Friday, we may be outside Europe, or at least on our way. Who can tell? So in giving that some thought, I decided to try a brand new soap. This is from France. France is about 45 miles away from where I live. Have to get on a ferry or a train and cross the English Channel, as we call it, or La Manche, as they call it en France. And you may be hearing some noise outside. This is somebody mowing the lawn next door. Nothing I can do about that. In England here, our houses are pretty close together, so you have to take it as we find it, I'm afraid. I have no idea. Monsavon Lait Bol or Raser. It's a Raser bowl, and it's a brand, my soap with milk, if you don't do much French. So also got the Unilever brand on there. I have no idea what this is like. I have never had it before. So this is a true unboxing. On the top of the box it says authentique on there. And oh, quite interesting, look. Not quite sure what is that. Is it hard or is it soft? It's hard. It's very neutral scented, little hint of vanilla in there. It's going to be interesting to see what that comes out like. So let's get the the shaving bowl now, which is my Turkish shaving bowl. Just put a little bit of water in that. And the shaving brush, which is my favourite brush, it's the Amiga. I like to vary. I like to have this one shave and then the bristle shaving brush the next, just because I can. So we'll just dampen that a little bit. I wish I could show you, but the water will all come out of the bowl. And let me see, and the GIESEN FORSTHOFF Raser, which I really enjoy using. Now, the last shave I had was with a shark blade, and so I'm going to try using that one again. The way that what I do is I just simply rinse them off and I leave them out in the corner of the bathroom to dry. I don't have any children, so I don't have to worry about whether they're going to eat the razor blades or whether they're going to do anything mad with them, like cut their arms and legs off with them. So that's good. 3-piece razor, of course. So that there, of course, goes in the head. We'll just put that together. There you go. So that's one piece. Now it's going to be interesting to see whether it's okay to shave with this. Now I know what a lot of people do is they soak their soap in water before they use it. I have to be honest with you, I've never really found that does much good. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the soap, I suppose. So I'll just put a tiny touch of water in the top of that, just for a moment or two, and we take the brush, which is now quite wet. Doesn't take very long at all, just a few seconds really. Tip the water out from there, and let's give it a good old whoosh around and see what it's like. Now, as you can tell, I haven't wet my face. We don't know how long this bit's going to take. It could take a long time, could take a moment. Well, it's not being highly frothing at the moment, or lather or whatever. I don't know what you've been up to or what you've been thinking about. I personally have been considering my single vote and wondering whether it will make any difference or not, or if we do vote to leave the EU, I highly suspect that the European Union will try and find some way of making our vote not count, and they won't ratify it. I've got a funny feeling that they'll spend a year talking about it before anything actually happens. I did wonder whether my passport would have to be changed, but they'll just passport has the European flag on the front of it. So anyway, they won't. They'll just keep it until it expires. So let's see how we go with this. My face is dry, so I don't think this is very a good lather at the moment, to be honest with you. And I don't think I'm going to put that on for the time being. Let's just put tiny little bit of water in the bowl, in the shaving bowl. See if we can get a slightly better lather in the shaving bowl than we did in that. Well, that's much better. But it didn't lather up very well inside the actual soap bowl. And I think that was, I think it was like €2 or €3 or something, which $2 or $3 I suppose, including purchase tax, because in Europe and the UK, purchase tax is all included in the prices of everything in the shops. You don't have to work it out later. A couple of times we've been to the States and you pick stuff up off the shelf, you take it to the checkout, and everything is 15 or 20% more expensive, or 10 or 5, depending on how it's taxed. It's really confusing. Why you guys just don't have the price what you're going to be charged on the item in the shop? Quite frankly, completely beyond me. I always think it's quite interesting. This is a very faint scent to this soap. It's very subtle. If you're British, then most, we went in 3 or 4 French supermarkets and they all had this particular one, so it's obviously common. Let's get a little bit more. Okay, well, it seems quite nice. There's probably a whole bunch of Frenchmen going, "Mon Dieu, what are you doing? Why are you using that horrible soap?" In French, obviously. But seems alright to me. Okay, let's see. Well, I must be honest with you, this blade is not brilliant, but it might be something to do with the soap. It's about a week again since I shaved. Don't really go out much, I have no friends locally, so don't have to shave, and the wife doesn't seem to mind whether I shave or not. That's a bit tough going, that, without soap and that blade. It's possible I might change it in a minute. There's a bit more soap on there. I want to have a proper first pass on this side. But don't, at the moment I'm not very happy. I don't know whether anybody watching this is taking up much notice of the EU referendum, but it is, I suppose it is a very important issue in the UK, whether we stay in Europe or whether we leave the EU. I'm not sure what the benefits of leaving are, but my feeling is that as a nation we are bullied by the EU. They force us into decisions that we may or may not want to make, and we do make positive suggestions back, and some of them they take notice of and some of them they ignore, but they have some of the most ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous rules, like you're not allowed to have a high-powered vacuum cleaner, Hoover. You're just not, anything above, I think it's 700 watts now or 800 watts, but you're not allowed to have a Hoover that is more powerful than that, because it uses too much energy, and hoovering of course is such a drag on the resources of the whole of Europe. I don't know. My experience of dealing with Americans is that when we travel around there, everything is disposable. The plates at breakfast, the cutlery, the cups, everything gets thrown away because nobody wants to pay anybody to clean it or to look after it. I remember one hotel we went to, they had sort of like free coffee at breakfast time as part of the services that they provide. And there was some snack bars or something. And I remember the free coffee had run out. And one of the people that was looking after the coffee service said, "Is there any chance of any more coffee?" And she really looked at me as if I'd killed her daughter. Maybe it's the English accent or something. Maybe I was like a supervillain to her. "Excuse me, any chance of some more coffee?" And that probably, like, without me knowing, it's probably some line out of some movie that's very popular in America. And she was so offended by me asking her. And she really did not look at all happy. Right, well, I think we're going to get more soap out of the bowl. I'm quite impatient. This needs a rinse off, this soap. It's got all little tiny hairs in the top of it now. Can you see? You probably can't see the little tiny hairs. So that will need a good rinse off when I've finished. I tend to do a lot of travelling. I don't know whether you do much travelling. I tend to travel as much as I can. And France, Germany, Italy, Portugal, South America, Central America, North America. I've been to all of those. I'm planning a trip to Asia. But it won't be one of your normal locations. We're not going to China or Japan. We're planning a trip to Laos or Cambodia. Unfortunately, you can't go to Cambodia and then travel to Laos and then back again. It gets quite complicated for a British citizen or a EU citizen. I wonder what differences they're gonna be after the referendum. I wonder whether it's going to make it much harder to travel around, or whether it will be the same. When I was a kid, I remember we went to Italy because my father was a racing driver, and he used to take his cars and his mechanics all over Europe to race. They used to race something called Formula 500, which I think they have in America now, but I think it's a different. It was Formula 500 then was a motorbike, 500cc motorbike engine in a race car. And at the time he bought a frame which was made by a firm called Cooper at the time, and then he made the glass fibre bodywork himself, and then put it all together with an engine out of an old motorcycle, an old Northern motorbike. Oh, you couldn't, they don't do that kind of thing these days, do they? And then he did Formula 3, I think it was. He was a big guy like me, so he didn't get much further than that. So, he did have a nasty accident at one of the circuits, Brands Hatch, and his car went off. In those days you used to have straw bales at the side of the track, and he hit a straw bale and they did a sort of like a head over heels type thing, landed on his head, and that was before proper roll cages, and he broke his collarbone and ribs and arm and leg, and told he would never walk again, and would have to wear a surgical corset for the rest of his life. But being my dad, he decided that that wasn't going to happen, and that he was going to just beat it, and he did eventually. He was always had a bit of a limp, but I think the year before he died when he was 86, the year before he died, he phoned me up at work and asked me if I could pop round and help him, because he was on the roof of the garage, and he'd accidentally kicked the ladder down and couldn't get down. And could I pop up and put the ladder back up for him? Also, I popped round to see him once, and I found him halfway up a tree, hanging from a tree with one arm. 85, hanging from a tree with one arm, with a chainsaw in the other, cutting a branch off. It's about 5 years, maybe 6 since he passed away. I miss him, as you can probably tell. Okay, so what is that? Past 3? Do we think that is an okay shave so far? What do we think? I think we're going to have a bit of a rinse, and then we'll find out from there what we think. Well, it's not the closest shave I've ever had, I must be honest. But I think that blade is past its best. So I think we might have a little bit more. We might have another pass. Let's have a little bit more. So I think, if you're travelling around and you happen to come across this soap, then it's worth giving it a go, just so that you can experience it. I'm not intending to buy it wholesale and start reselling it, but it is completely different to any British soap that I've got. I think we bought it in a supermarket near Marseille, if I remember rightly. And famous for their hard soaps in Marseille. In fact, most supermarkets in France have a soap called Petit Marseille, which is a small version. And this is the normal Marseille soap, like that, which my wife uses. They do various different scents and flavours and stuff like that. Right, I'm going to take care now. I'm going to shut up while I do this pass, because this one is going to be tricky. I'd be interested to know, actually, if you had an opportunity where you are to become independent in your state or in your country from the ruling country, what would you do? I know that in America, obviously you had the War of Independence and what have you, and became independent from England. But I'd be interested to hear what people have got to say about whether we should stay or whether we should go. It's only a couple of days away, so the chances are that when you watch this video, we might already have left the EU, or we might already have decided to stay in. I'm probably going to vote to leave, but my vote is just one person. My personal feeling is that the vast majority will vote to stay in. That is my feeling, because the fear factor of leaving, and nobody really knows what's going to happen, because nobody's ever done it, and so that's going to be quite interesting. Okay, well, that's not too bad. 4 passes after a week's growth, with a blade that's already been used twice. That's not too bad. I'm just going to use some shaving balm today. I haven't used this for a long time. This is the Real Shaving Co. Professional Shave and Skin Care since 1953 shaving balm. I think I did use it once, this one. Can't remember. Basically, this is a thin moisturiser. Be interesting to see. Because I leave it a week in between shaves, generally speaking, I do end up with a slightly sore face. Right. Okay, and yet again, that cream just sits on my face just looking silly. I have got all kinds of shaving creams and balms and lotions, and none of them are particularly brilliant. I don't think. It's just the one that is least worst as far as I'm concerned. But try and even that out a bit so it doesn't look like it's gone all peculiar, at the very least. Okay, so I think I'm going to rinse off the soap now and see if we can get it clean. I'll be very annoyed if it stays there with hairs in it. I don't know whether I would... It's funny soap that. I've never come across that before. I've managed to get it mostly clean, I think. Not so sure about that. And what I'll do is I'll leave that standing to dry before I put the top on. So that'll probably take an hour or so. It's very miserable weather here at the moment. I think we had some warm weather yesterday, where I was able to go out without a coat. Can you imagine, eh? Good job you don't live here. It's pretty miserable most of the time. Okay, so all the details for all the stuff that I've had in this shave will be in the description. You got any comments? Please do comment. I'd love to hear from you. And whether we're in or whether we're out by the time that I have the next shave, all the best to you, and have a really great day. Speak to you soon. Bye for now from the Britshaver.